First up, the top story on What's Hot. IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad today warned social media companies that the government will not tolerate any kind of data imperialism. He was speaking exclusively to my colleague Shireen Bhan on the sidelines of the Rising India Summit. This comes on a day when Twitter Vice President Colin Crowell appeared before a parliamentary standing committee to answer questions related to allegations of political bias on social media platforms by some right-wing activists. Listen in.
Today, in fact, the Twitter CEO, Jack Dorsey, was summoned by the parliamentary panel. He wasn't there. There was a representative from Twitter there, but you've been talking to Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth on how they can sort of ensure that we have clean elections. What is the conversation at this point in time leading to, and how is the government engaging with them?
I can only give you the general ideas, because as far as Twitter's appearance before the parliamentary committee is concerned, that is their domain. I have said very clearly, all the social media platforms are welcome to do business in India because India offers a big digital commercial opportunity also. Facebook has the biggest presence, so has WhatsApp, Twitter is the second and third. But I have said very clearly, India appreciates, acknowledges and respects freedom of ideas on social media. But any abuse of data of Indians to influence the election will not be acceptable. Mark Zuckerberg apologized. Cambridge Analytica issued a notice. They did not respond properly. The matter I have referred to the CBI. Okay. So we have been very tough. And thirdly, most important, any kind of data imperialism will not be acceptable by any company. We believe in equality. We believe India's sovereignty also. If you go like that, surely a proper norm will come, and the Election Commission is equally aware of that, and in no manner whatsoever the data of Indians shall be allowed to be abused to influence elections.
One of the pending issues that this government has not been able to take forward in this tenure, I would imagine if you do return to power, that will be given priority if I hear what you're saying today. Data localization and a larger data privacy and data protection bill. Disappointed that you couldn't do it in this tenure?
First of all, if we return to power, remove the if first. Okay?
That's for you to say. I can't make those assertions. Not my place to make those assertions at all. You're free to remove it.
And I must clarify, it is no arrogance. With the utmost humility, the kind of work we have done, people will bless us. Now, data protection law. Sri Krishna committee was there, you know it.
Yeah.
His report came. We had 4 or 5 rounds of consultations. Consultation with the state governments, their reports, the ministries. All the consultations are complete. One final, I would say, nut and bolts are to be tightened, and then we'll go to the cabinet.
Meanwhile, Railway Minister Piyush Goyal rejected the idea of merging ministries as a myopic view. He said that minimum government and maximum governance was not about merging ministries. The minister also spoke on the issue of divestment and said that privatization was not the only solution for growth.
So if I could focus a little bit on the unfinished agenda. When you came to office in 2014, the promise was maximum governance, minimum government. The assumption was that that would actually mean that you would cut down the size of government. Why do you actually coal ministry and mines ministry? Why do you need a separate MNRE ministry? That was the assumption. Is that now going to be something that you will consider actually doing if you were to return to power?
First of all, when you talk of all-rounders, as I was walking in, I was complaining that I didn't know there were going to be 3 ministers, then I would never have come, because in this government, each minister is capable of handling the entire government and responding about the entire government. So you really didn't need 3 ministers here. Point 1. Point 2, press makes its own assumptions. I don't think very often those assumptions necessarily are right. When we talk of minimum government and maximum governance, it's about governance practices. It's about transparency. It's about taking issues to its logical end in a time-bound manner. You heard the Prime Minister talk of the ABC philosophy. Now, your limited focus, so it's very easy. We can merge coal and mines tomorrow. Like that, we can merge 10 other ministries. That's not a big deal. But you will feel satisfied. Oh, that's great reform. In fact, that's the myopic view that some people have. That, oh, if the ministries get merged, it's great reform. If a certain action is taken, it's great reform.
No, but why is the merger of public sector entities great reform and not the merger of government ministries?
It's a case-by-case thing. When two companies are doing marketing of the same product, and if they are being merged or a value chain is being created from the production phase to the marketing phase, it's a case-by-case situation. There's no one-size-fits-all. If anybody has a problem, and everybody has a problem in life, at that point of time, the private sector just scoots and runs away. It's our public sector banks that hold our hand and help nurture a person through the life cycle of business. Point one. Point two, private sector has not covered itself with glory with their banking practices. So it's not that the panacea of all problems is you privatize everything. We have enough problems in the private sector which are now coming home to roost. So clearly privatization is not the solution necessarily. I think you have to realize it's not ownership which defines success or failure.
Sure.
It's vision and leadership.
Okay, that was all the action from the Rising India Summit. We will keep getting you excerpts from that summit. But for now, let's get stock specific. Shares of Adani Enterprises closed over 3% up after the company won 5 airport bids. We understand from sources that Adani Enterprises will be operating airports in Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Lucknow, Mangalore and Thiruvananthapuram. The bids for Guwahati Airport are likely to open tomorrow. Now, on to court action then. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal has directed financial institutions not to declare any entity of the debt-ridden Island FS as a non-performing asset. The lenders must approach the Appellate Tribunal before making any such move. A government-appointed board under Uday Kotak is currently overseeing the resolution process at Island FS. Ashmit Kumar is here with the details. Ashmit, some solace very clearly for Island FS. Take us through the NCLAT order and what was the need to restrain lenders, really?
Well, some more relief, as you pointed out, coming in for lenders. Keep in mind that at the last hearing, the NCLAT had directed that the green companies, the companies that have been flagged as green, will be allowed to make those repayments back to the lenders. That was, of course, at the last hearing. Today, we find that there is no requirement to classify these companies as NPAs. Now, the order essentially is that any financial institution, which is essentially a reference to lenders, will not or cannot move ahead and classify any of these companies as NPAs, even if there is a default. And the only way they can do so is by moving the NCLAT and seeking the prior approval. That's the only way forward. Now, the reason for that essentially is what the lenders are saying on record is that there is a revival plan that is currently in the works. For that revival plan to take effect, it's important that there is no disturbance by way of these classification of the companies as NPAs, and that is one concern that has been appreciated by the NCLAT. And towards that extent, it made the same observation that we do not want to hinder the revitalization, the revival process, and as a part of that, this direction has been issued. But what's interesting, of course, is that this benefits lenders towards the extent that they do not have to reflect the 91,000 crore rupee debt. That's the total debt burden. That does not need to translate into now the accounts and the books of accounts of these lenders. So towards that extent, some relief coming in. And what's also interesting is that this NCLAT order runs contrary to a present RBI norms, which clearly says that unpaid dues beyond 90 days gets classified as NPA. So interesting directions coming in. We'll of course have to see at the next hearing that the course is charted out by the NCLAT. But clearly, as of right now, relief coming in for the lenders. Back to you.
Absolutely, relief to the lenders for sure. But for now, let's go to Lata Venkatesh to understand exactly what the implications would be of this. Lata, the Appellate Tribunal's order is in contravention of the RBI rules. So how is the central bank likely to react to this?
Well, as Ashmit said, the Reserve Bank rules are that for an unpaid interest that's overdue over 90 days will be an NPA. But these are not RBI rules. These are Basel rules. These are international rules. Globally, all banks follow the same method for marking a loan as NPA. And therefore, chances are, first the positive. For banks, it will be very big. 90,000 crore of loans not to be marked NPA is huge. But it's unlikely that they will be able to get away with it. The Reserve Bank is likely, my sense is, to make a representation either at the NCLAT or at a higher court saying that they have to be marked as NPA, and then the provisions can be written back when a decision is taken. So it's possible that it's temporary. We did write to the Reserve Bank, but we haven't yet heard from them. So it may be a little too early for banks to celebrate, but it could be some celebration for mutual funds and NBFCs, because it looks like the NCLAT is inclined to hear their side of the story. So sooner or later they may get some relief. Just by way of background, in the IL&FS case, 7% of the debt has been described by IL&FS as green. That is, these are companies these are subsidiaries of IL&FS which have enough money in their escrow account to service their entire debt and run the company. 19% of the debt, that is about 16,000 crores, are debt which have enough money to service senior debt and run the company, but not service all the debt. And then there is about 15% of debt, about 15,000 crores, which cannot service the debt at all, and that is marked red. Besides this, of course, there's 56% of debt in the parent companies which simply cannot be serviced. So let's not celebrate for the banks just yet.